This is everything else. Yeah, this is everything else. Yeah.
Welcome to another edition of ET. I am Marcus Billy calling up medical to see if my co-host is okay for falling out of his chair and having a seizure. I am Marcus the Grind Finale, and I'm joined by not one, not two, but all three faces of Jamal. Jamal, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. I am okay, but I'm okay. My back, my hip. My
Oh no! Next thing you know, we're gonna have Shinsuke coming up on here. Jamal, I know about your back.
He's gonna be like, Orowa,
Yeah, just like those Shinsuke packages are dope. But we are not here to talk about Shinsuke Nakamura, who may or may not have appeared in TNA at one point. I think he did. I think he has like one. I think he has like a half appearance somewhere.
He had him, Okada, Tanahashi, and a few others. So not, like a whole bunch of them.
There's a few that's sprinkled in there over the years. But more in the modern era, in the past, it would be like, who the fuck is this guy? And then they're like, oh, okay. They were young. But we're going to talk about 1,000 episodes of Impact Wrestling. And my first question, right off the jump, Jamal, did you believe we would get to this point that TNA, and I'm going to call it TNA because that was its original name before it got mature. It's like Jeezy, I'm still calling you young. I don't care how old you get. I don't care if you're in your 50s. Let's go.
It was actually the N.W.A. TNA.
Yeah.
It was the National Wrestling Alliance Total Nonstop Action Wrestling Show. And if we're just talking about Impact, like that Impact didn't even happen until fucking 2006.
Yeah, it took years. It was about 3 or 4 years of just being N.W.A. Impact, which are X Division, AJ is X Division, and Ron Killings maybe your N.W.A. champion, or Shamrock or somewhere in there, and then Jeff Jarrett, of course.
Every time that you put that on, it was a pay-per-view.
Yeah. And you only had to pay $9.95 for it. Don West was great. The late great Don West. But yeah, did you see it making it to 1,000 episodes of Impact Wrestling on TV, weekly show?
I honestly didn't think that, it reminded, it was when the first episode of Impact, as good as it was, like it reminded me of like XPW, but like without the hardcore. It reminded me of Wrestling Society X, that fucking MTV fucking wrestling show that happened like on MTV2. Like, it was one season.
Caskets.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Matt Seidel,
Amazing Red, like old ass Just Incredible on that bitch. X-Pac was on it for some reason. Vampiro. So like, when I seen like Impact actually getting a TV show, I was like, okay, how long is this new wrestling show gonna last? Because nobody was fucking with Raw at that time. Like, Raw, SmackDown. Yeah. There was no NXT. There was Velocity. There was all these other shows. Heat,
whatever.
But and then on top of that too, right? The slot that it was on, it was before the Ultimate Fighter, which was at its super peak. Like, it was like all the eyes was on fucking the Ultimate Fighter, not on Impact Wrestling. So it was just like,
Yeah, and then I'm curious where this count starts, because they were on TV before they got to TNN or whatnot. They had they were on FS1 or whatever it was called back then, one of the Fox Sports or Prime Ticket, whatever the hell they called it back then. And I believe they had that in Explosion. Then they got picked up by, I'm going to probably say Spike more, because that was the channel more people more relate to it than TNN. And then it turned to Pop, and then they moved to Destination America.
Then Anthem Owl bullshit.
Now they're in Access / YouTube and Twitch. like the count kept going. The count kept going. Whether it was different owners, Dixie Carter, Anthem, Jeff Jarrett. I think even Billy Corgan threw some money in there at some point. Wasn't technically owner, but was partner or something like that. So
yep. He was trying to do what he's doing to the N.W.A. I think if Billy Corgan actually got the deal through, then TNA would be a little bit bigger than it is right now, just a tad, not too much, not too over exaggerate. But what he's doing with the NWA, he should have been doing with TNA with better people. You know what I'm saying? He'd have had the opportunity to make that.
There's part of me that agree with you, then there's part of me that disagree, because there's part of me going like, I don't know where NWA is going. Like I enjoyed the earlier stage of his run at NWA more than I enjoyed the current product.
The reason,
and I enjoyed, I want to say, Impact more than I've enjoyed NWA, just over, just like the outbranding that they've done and stuff over the years.
Well, I think the big contribution to that is, in NWA, not a lot of people know who these people are unless you're fucking talking about, and the people that you do know who they are, they're fucking way Chris Masters, Rodney Mack. We know you're underneath
the John Cena pin catalog, is it like the
you know what I'm saying? Like exactly.
JTG.
You had Tyrus, you had EC3 there, you had JTG there. Like you had a whole bunch of different people come into NWA, just to small eyes, but they're old, they're done, they're finished, they're packed up, they're washed. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then mixed with a new batch of talent who are equally as good, but they're in the equivalent of what like an AJ, a Christopher Daniels, an Amazing Red, and all of them guys back in the day was for TNA Impact, bringing it back.
Kind of. I'm more circle with like MLW and even like House of Glory for more of those, like, these are where the younger guys are coming from. and even some of the Japanese wrestlers and promotion. Like I don't I can talk about NWA forever, about their new era. We talk about them in the later part of the show, about the new era of NWA that we're in, the 75 era or whatever.
Yeah, we can't talk about Impact without talking about the NWA. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. But they went their separate ways. And we get a new era of Impact at the start, and it's just everybody's on their rise. Whether it's Daniel, Styles, Samoa Joe, who's back wrestling between this and Ring of Honor. You got the Naturals, the tag team, America's Most Wanted. Then you get Beer Buddy and all that.
Team Canada, the original Team Canada, son.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Reed, Eric Young, Petey Williams, Scott D'Amore, bro. They had mad talent.
Yeah,
Elite Skipper, bro. Mad
diamonds in the rough.
Rough, bro.
So you get all this influx of talent. You get all this. You have your 6-sided ring, and I was looking at the show and going like, okay. And then I was looking at it going like, wrestling is really good. 6 sides of ring is weird. But I got used to it and started to appreciate it more. And that when they changed it to 4 sides, it bugged me. To the point when they changed it back, I was like, maybe they shouldn't have changed it back. And then I was like, but I kind of like the 6 sides because it made them unique. I'm a 6-side guy.
Exactly. Like bringing the 6-sided ring to America was one of the best things that Impact has ever fucking done. Like, we know that the 6-sided ring exists in Mexico. It's always existed in Mexico.
Yeah, it was always the hexagon. I didn't even know if it was 6 sides or not. I only knew 6 sides for TNA or whatever. And then the Mexican one, I was like, it's like an hexagon or octagon or something.
It was an octagon. But again, like, no, it was 6 sides. It's 6-sided.
It was 6-sided. I think it was 6-sided. I didn't recognize it as that.
But with Mexican wrestling, how they portray it and everything like that. Like, for an American or for Americans to get that, but with American wrestling or American style wrestling, like inside of that 6-sided steel, it was different.
It was different from WWE too. It was faster. It was more unique. Like the wrestlers weren't all, doing the muscle man dance, to quote Bray Wyatt, like WWE guys. You were like, oh damn, people are doing this. And like in the early stages, the person who stood out to me the most, and most people be like, "Oh, AJ Styles," but early on, to me, I thought it was Samoa Joe, just being like, I've never seen a dude this big act like this,
fly around that way. Yeah,
fly around. And I've seen clips of him in Ring of Honor before and stuff, but it wasn't until I watched Impact where I really was like, this is real. This dude is the real deal. And then I went back and watched more of his Ring of Honor stuff, and I was like, damn, Samoa Joe's a monster. But it was more in the Impact days going like, what is this shit?
Yeah, most of my appreciation for some of these wrestlers that we're about to mention is due to their work in Impact Wrestling. So like, even guys that's in WWE right now, your Bobby Roodes, your AJ Styles, your who was in
LA Knight,
LA Knight, Eli Drake, like, you know what I'm saying? Like their work in Impact is what made me a fan of theirs. So even if they're washed in WWE or on the come up, I've already seen their greatness before and what it can manifest. And then also, like, if you really think about it, right, some of the TNA Impact or Impact Wrestling is where careers go to resurge and try to get back to a level that they wasn't at before. Booker T's done it, Kurt Angle has done it, Christian Cage has done it, like, Raven's done it, Rhino's done it, like everybody resurges. And if we're going to more modern, Drew Galloway, who was Drew McIntyre, you got LA Knight, who was Eli Drake, you got EC3, who he's freaking resurged, freaking Jeff Hardy had his career resurgence, Matt Hardy had his career resurgence, Cody Rhodes, his career resurgence, like, it can be argued that Impact is a place that you can go to resurrect your career and then make yourself a bigger star at the end.
Yeah, there was that argument, and then there's the argument of people who went there, and you go like, they had these people, and it didn't work out. Like they should be here. Like they had Okada. They had Sonata.
They had Shinsuke. They had Tanahashi. They had Taiji
Punk ran through there.
Taiji Ishimori was in that bitch.
Like you think about all the names that just go through there, and you go like, wow, they should have had, like they should be this mega power. Like at one point, James Storm, Bobby Roode, Bobby Lashley, Drew Galloway, Jeff Hardy and the Hardy Boys. They got the Dudley Boys. Rhino in his prime, who was a much better wrestler, but a younger, more in his prime, just coming out. They had Christian Cage to jump over the first big jump, probably of everybody. And then you think about Kurt Angle, but then you have all of this, and then Sting, of course. You have all these names, and all that associated with TNA is poor management, drugs, arrest of all kind. Just all types of ill-fated advice. Like you had Kurt Angle with his worst, probably. Like I think he admitted. I haven't watched the documentary, but I would say TNA is probably at his worst when he was Perk Angle, quote unquote.
Perk Angle, bro. Nobody was.
Jeff Hardy passing out in the ring and stuff with Sting.
Completely quitting at a Bound for Glory, no less.
Yeah, you had Matt Hardy at his worst. At his worst of his drug problem. This is a drug problem. Like he was bad. Yeah. Not like in ring. Like the deletion, he came back. He recovered, but he was getting arrested every other day. Like him and Jeff both were in a bad place, just in general at that time. And just all sorts of like drama with Dixie Carter and Hulk Hogan and Bischoff coming in there, and they saying, let's wreck all this shit. They fired Jay Lethal, which is still crazy. He was like one of the most over guys in the company, was the most charismatic, as you pointed in one of our messages, a fucking chameleon of like just could be anybody.
The Black Machismo to the Black Ric Flair to the fucking just Jay Lethal. He was that dude, man.
So they have all this stuff going in, and you just wonder what happened. And Jamal, I'm going to add, what was the best era for you of Impact Wrestling? What was your what would be peak?
Peak era was Main Event Mafia. Everything main event. I was gonna go and I figured that you were gonna ask me this question, but I was gonna go with the aces and eights. But the way how aces and eights finished just ruined that for me. Like how it started was great, but how it ended was stupid. The whole arc of the main event mafia. If you want to watch prime Impact Wrestling, you got to watch from the start of the main event mafia all the way to its conclusion, and that is like the best time to watch Impact Wrestling. Even like the overall arcing arc of fucking the main event mafia, the little side arcs that was going on, the Sanjay Dutt and SoCal Val thing, the fucking the Team Canada versus damn, I forgot.
America's Most Wanted.
They face
I don't know.
Literally face
everybody.
So
it was
like
a bunch of tactics. Yeah,
it's kind of hard. Then you had like America's Most Wanted, who then in turn when Bobby Roode turned his back on Team Canada and freaking James Storm turned his back on freaking Chris Harris, and then they became Beer Money. So like that happened. Like that was like, you see what I'm saying? Like there's just so many different underlining arcs. The X Division Championship was the championship to have at that time. Freaking other than the tag team titles, which LAX, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are my dudes. Like,
yeah.
Jeez. But that whole main event mafia arc is prime Impact.
Main event mafia, it's funny. It was entertaining TV throughout. For those who don't know who was in the main event mafia, you go with first overall Scott Steiner. You got Sting, and technically a heel role in a rare heel appearance by Sting.
No face paint. He's just coming out, with the glasses, no face paint.
It was one of the original times when he was just Steve, quote unquote, Borton, and he just come out with no face paint and just be like, "Yeah, this is me." And he was a heel, but not really a heel. It was unique.
He was the voice of reason whenever they got too crazy, because they were like, "Yeah, we can't be like fucking Hulk Hogan. This ain't the fucking N.W.A. You can't just do whatever the fuck you want." Like he told Nash, he was like, "This ain't the fucking N.W.A. You can't do this. We're not Hogan. This ain't nothing that it was just good television."
Entertaining faction. My peak era would be it would be when about Christian jumped over. And then Kurt Angle came over and headbutted Samoa Joe, and then that little era of the rise of Kurt Angle, basically.
Cross the line era.
Yeah, cross the line. There it is. That was a pretty good era. Like
when the video game came out.
Yeah, it was like everybody was in there like peak and prime. Yes, some of the storylines. Okay, most of the storylines did not make sense. Some of them, but you did get a lot of good wrestling and entertainment just back and back. It was never a boring moment around that time of Impact. And then when they moved to Mondays and Hogan took over, it was just like, okay.
With the force,
and then it was just like feeling like it was falling over.
Well, you had Bischoff and Hogan, who was known to fucking it wasn't conducive. Just Hogan and Bischoff together working, it's like having Vince Russo run your wrestling company. It's not gonna
Who
work
also ran Impact?
Jesus Christ.
How many pay-per-views ended with Fire Russo? It was way too many. It's way too many episodes of Impact ended with Fire Russo.
It's ridiculous at that point.
All right. So here we go. We're going to go over a bunch of categories, Jamal, about the history of Impact. And then, I'm just going to go over, just point out particular wrestlers or moments in time that were great for you. So, first off, who is the GOAT in Impact Wrestling as a tag team? Who was your tag team GOAT? This is
the tag team GOAT.
Tag team.
Of all
the tag
time.
team GOATs. I guess it's plural. The greatest tag team in Impact history in this 1,000-episode run.
Sheesh. Ooh, it's a lot of tag teams.
It's a lot.
I want to say LAX, but it's not. I
love LAX.
Of LAX, that was my tag team, but it's not. It's got to either go to Shit, it's difficult because Bobby Roode is part of these three teams that I'm about to mention, right?
So Bobby Roode is the greatest tag team of all time.
No, but again, like
yeah,
him and AMW, or a
no, he wasn't in American Most Wanted. That was James Storm.
But again, not Bobby Roode. That was James Storm. I'm sorry, James Storm is part of these two teams because, like, Beer Money and AMW was two great tag teams that fucking like solidified what tag team wrestling is going to be. But at the same token, I cannot go against Motor City Machine Guns as the greatest Impact Wrestling tag team champions that ever was, because they're still there. They've been there. They've done it. They were together then. They're together now. You can't deny it. It's the Motor City Machine.
Then now forever. I mean, when you said LAX, I went, oh shit, I did forget about that. Because I have more of a greatest faction than I do tag team, even though Hernandez and Homicide is my definitive LAX. I know there's the technically Pride and Powerful version. Technically, that's in AEW right now, but I'm saying that Hernandez Homicide LAX was just a monster to deal with. I mean,
Homicide. Well, Hurricane Helms did this move, the Gringo Killer. Like, Hurricane Helms has done this move. I've seen him do it, and it didn't really move me. But when Homicide fucking did it, I was like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like,
yeah. So the difference between Hurricane doing it and Homicide doing it is that Homicide had a better name. Like the Cop Killer / Gringo Killer, it goes like, what's he about to do? And it's like, oh shit!
He'll drop you on the back of your neck, like he flipped you over and dropped you on the back of your neck. Like, how does he do that? Like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah.
Damn.
Manny is gonna take me off the air for this one, because as much as I enjoyed the AJ Styles Bobby Roode fist pound, they were only a team in Fortune, which is the only time they actually really teamed, and the other time was just an attack. But my favorite Impact Wrestling tag team is Beer Money, man. I love the shit out of Beer Money. Like, they had all their shirts. I enjoyed the music of Here Comes the Beer, Comes the Money, about one guy being about the money and the beer, and then they'll break it up, and Robert Roode then going to become heavyweight champion, and then I was like, damn,
dissolve, man. Once world titles are involved, you have to dissolve. That's just how it goes.
And when I looked at that team, I didn't see a Jannetty. I did not see a Jannetty in the team. James Storm
we know who the Jannetty is. We know who the Jannetty is.
It technically is James Storm.
It's technically James Storm.
Yeah. Even though he had a pretty good career, it's just, I don't know whatever happened. It just, like, it should have took off for him, I feel like, at some point, because he was one of the best promo guys in the game.
Bobby Roode is a former United States champion. He's a former NXT champion. He made it where James Storm could not, and that's unfortunate. That's the breaks.
Yeah, James Storm would just dabble in Impact. I believe he got the Impact World Championship at one point, but
he did.
It just never was a really like exciting run. Like, but when Bobby had it, and when I feel like Josh Alexander had his run, I feel like Bobby or Jarrett had it longer, but whatever. 160 some days was like, oh, that was it. I feel like it was a longer and more impactful run.
That's when he became the It Factor, son.
Yes. The It Factor. He cut his hair eventually. It was just like, oh, man. He was traveling all over the world. He was doing London shows and all that. It was like, damn, Bobby was
the champion, you know what I'm saying? And the feuds that came with that, like the Austin Aries feud, the freaking Chris Sabin actually, trying to go for the world title. He didn't end up beating Bobby Roode for it, but he got Bully Ray,
Yeah. All right. So. Next category. Greatest women's wrestler of all time, or in the Impact Wrestling history. I don't think this is as difficult as a question, but then you can give one. I'll probably go the opposite way, just because I think there needs to be honorable mentions in all of this.
It's Gail Kim. Let's stop the madness. It's Gail Kim. Maurice would agree with me and say Jordan Grace, because of the things that she's done. Some people might even say Tessa Blanchard, because she has won the world title. but it's
She's been
definitely Gail
canceled,
Kim.
so I don't know if I'm allowed to even mention it.
Look, check this out. I'm calling a spade, okay? If she won the women's title and she also won the world title, and that's part of history right there. So it is what it is. But it's Gail Kim. And
the correct answer is Gail Kim. Like you could bring in, you can talk about Mickey James or whatever and all that, and all these people have been here, but the answer is Gail Kim. However, Gail Kim was nothing without an opponent. Her Awesome Kong beef was the best women's feud ever at the time. Like
in wrestling, at the time.
At the time, because before them, women's wrestling was basically Kelly, or at the time in W, which was the other big brand, it was Kelly strip shows on ECW. And God, Michelle McCool, Leku, as much as you may like them, I like them as well, was not really doing wrestling matches back then. No, like women's wrestling was not a thing.
Spots and all this other stuff. But Gail Kim and Awesome Kong was the modern day version of what Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano was doing. That was that generation's, Alundra Blaze, Bull Nakano. So
it was just epic. It was an epic battle, and it went back and forth. And and I think that you can't mention one without the other, because Gail Kim had a lot of great matches back and forth. She had just left WWE. It prompted WWE to re-sign Gail Kim, only to not use her, because still they weren't really women's wrestling. Like, even though they have changed the game and they have elevated women's wrestling, WWE still didn't do it. She eliminated herself and went right back.
Let me tell you something about Gail Kim. Gail Kim won the women's title day one on fucking in WWE programming. Like the first time you ever seen this Asian chick, she just come out here, she does her little and then fucking wins a battle royal or like a multi-woman match. And then
some weird man.
And like the people in this match, the Trish, the fucking Victoria, the Lita was in that match. Ivory was in that match. And then she wins the world title. I didn't know who she was. How somebody I don't know win the world title? Like, so WWE really, really dropped the ball there when it pertained to Gail Kim. Once Gail Kim came over to the side, they had their little tournament, which the women's wrestling was not great in Impact at that time, but it was better than what WWE was producing at that time.
It was featured. And, like you had, like in WWE, it was basically non-existent. You get one or two segments of random women doing shit. And in Impact, you will have multiple women doing things. And yes, they may not have been the best wrestlers, but they had a few. I'm talking about like literally the Faction of the Dollhouse, which featured, at the time she was known as Jade.
Mia Yim, Jade, and Dollhouse, Marty Bell, and
Taryn Terrell and stuff. But and then you had the beautiful people before that.
Before that, so like Madison Rain and fucking Velvet Sky, Angelina Love, If you had a white girl fetish, you were watching Impact Wrestling. People came out.
Hey, you still? I think Jazz was still wrestling then, or Miss Jackie would show up. I don't think she was wrestling anymore, but like
they clothesline here and there.
Lady Tapa.
Lady Tappa, son. Lady Tappa. Put respect on her name. She's part of that bloodline. Lady Tappa.
So you had all of like that influx of women, and I thought that they were in the forefront, and still to this day, Impact is still like where you could probably get a more balanced women's wrestling show than any other wrestling show on the planet, because there'll be, there's sprinkle minutes here and there. NXT does about 50-50 of a show, but Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite and Collision, you got one match at best on all those shows. All those hours of television, one match.
Yeah, man. Impact's women's division is I was about to say, yep. I'll give it to them. They're better than Stardom. They're better than anything that Shine or Shimmer is doing. So, I can honestly say that Impact Women's Wrestling is the best women's wrestling right now to watch. If you're into women's wrestling right now, I know Trinity is the women's champion right now. You got Deonna Purrazzo there. You got Jordan Grace just re-signed. like up and coming superstars like Giselle Shaw and freaking
Masha Slamovich and
Killer
Killer Kelly.
Yo, man, dog, like it's
Yeah,
there.
I think you mentioned Giselle Shaw. There's a bunch. It's a bunch out there. It's just go like
freaking Jessica Havoc, like, you know, it's just it's all there.
I don't know why I'm blanking out on Rich Swan's girl, and I hate that I'm calling her that. I'm blanking out. What's her name?
Sue Young.
Sue Young, but she's out right now. But you know, they have a lot. They have a vast women's roster, and then they also pull from other places as well at the same time. Let them branch out as well. All right, next category: greatest X Division champion or wrestler of all time.
So obviously the answer is going to be AJ Styles, but if it's not AJ,
you too quick with it. Too quick. I don't know. I can dispute it.
No. Let's be honest. The answer is AJ Styles. Stop the madness. Stop the cap. But if it's anybody that's not AJ Styles, I'm going to give it to Petey Williams. I'm going to give it to Petey Williams. I'm going to give it to Petey Williams. I'm going to give it to Petey Williams because of this reason. And this is not like his Petey Pump days either. This is everything before Petey Pump. His work from Team Canada all the way to he came Little Petey Pump. That X Division run of his winning, like I don't care how many times the niggas has won it or how long they held it or whatever, not that run made what this incredible move a basic move nowadays because people want to fucking see it.
I hate him. I hate everybody that does this move now. It's the best wrestling move. It's like, one of the best wrestling moves ever.
It reminds you of a time that when that move was fucking special. Like you see that shit, you're just like, what the fuck did I just see?
Yeah. It tripped me out when I first saw it. I went, what? No. Like it goes against everything that you believe.
Multiple times to see what the fuck he did.
How do you even what? And then it's a power driver, which in WWE is a band move, and you see a flip power driver, and you go like, someone's gonna be breaking their neck. No one ever got hurt. Like really? And you just go like, fuck, this is the greatest move ever invented.
But again, this is the same impact that I had when I seen Homicide do the Gringo Killer or the Cop Killer. I've seen the move done before, but not to the effect of, damn, like this is the finisher. It's not like, you know, like, oh.
There's few moves that hit like that. You go like, it's over.
It's over. Like there's no coming back from that. Now niggas is just doing it just because. And
now look at Orange Cassidy and Penta just going back and forth doing them.
Bad Bunny can do this move. Let's just put that into perspective. Okay?
Yeah.
Shit.
They made it basic and all. So Petey Williams is a nice choice. I enjoyed Petey Williams so much. Just he was just one of those wrestlers. But the X Division was deep. It was deep. Like when you have Aries, Strong, Styles, Daniels.
Daniels was a good X Division run. Jay Lethal was a great X Division run. We're going into modern times. Trey Miguel just came off of a really great X Division championship run. Rich Swann had a great X Division championship run. Damn, Bobby Lashley is the only heavyweight X Division champion I've ever fucking
seen. No. You dismissed my pick for greatest X Division wrestler of all time. Samoa Joe.
It's Samoa.
I know.
That's arguable.
He had the best title run. He was unbeatable. And those matches with him and Daniels and AJ, classic. All of them classic. All bangers. And it would just go back and forth. And he defied the rule of what an X Division was because, yes, it was called X Division, but the main rule about X Division, there was no weight limit.
They were hyping it. They were like, there are no limits to the X Division and blah, 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 blah. But you know what defined X Division? Ultimate X.
Yeah.
Ultimate X defined X Division. And once they put Ultimate X on Impact one day, and we're just looking like, wow.
This ain't gonna work.
It didn't work.
This is stupid. Like,
but it
that
did.
was my first reaction. And then you go like, oh no.
It did.
Yeah.
It didn't work, but it did.
Like you look at it and go, this is a stupid gimmicky ass. What are they doing? They gotta do like this and crawling on top. And all of a sudden you'd be like, fuck, they're hanging upside down. This guy's going for the leg drop, and it started making sense, and it became an art form. Yes, it had some problems with like early on with some of the X like or the title falling off or stuff like that, but they figured that out, and it was just like, goddamn. Like it's an impressive match, an original match that no company in wrestling has tried to even replicate. That it was only can be done.
They can't do it. They have to ask permission. They must ask permission.
It is the original match. So that brings me to the next category: greatest original thing or / match Impact has done. I'm talking about technically your Feast or Fires, your King of the Mountain match, your Ultimate X, Lethal Lockdown, which is basically War Games, but Lethal Lockdown, Final Deletions. This is like all the weird experimental shit that they've done over the year.
I'm definitely like, I like the idea of the 6 sides of steel, and because like, you know, they did the Lethal Lockdown, so I'm gonna go Lethal Lockdown because I just like, and this goes back to what I was saying about the Main Event Mafia. They had a bunch of Lethal Lockdown matches, you know, against some of TNA's at that time best, the AJs, the Chris Daniels, the Samoa Joes, and then that's when Samoa Joe kind of like turned his back on TNA and whatever have you. But like those matches were great. You know, as old as Kevin Nash was with his fucking torn quad, as Booker T getting into his twilight of his career, Steiner can't really go anymore. Like it still was entertaining to watch because like how the match it kind of makes you slow down a little bit. It's War Games in the 6 sides of steel. I love it.
Yeah, and
Legal
here's the thing. I love the concept of or I like the concept of Lockdown. Just that was an entire night of cage matches, and each cage match was different. And so until you got to the main event, which was like Lethal Lockdown or whatever.
But see, what did WWE do years later after that? Then they tried to do this shit with the Hell in a Cell, make every match a Hell in a Cell match instead of making it special. Now it's just a throwaway match.
Yeah. And it just went off the rails and stuff like that. Like, but for me, the match that I have to cite as my favorite, and this is for all the wrong reasons, I don't care what hate I get. The greatest thing TNA has ever did was the Reverse Battle Royal. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. But it makes me laugh so much that it's the stupidest match. It's the stupidest match possible. Like, it is dumb. Like, so basically you fight to try to get into the ring, and then the boys who get into the ring then have to throw the other people out the ring, and then the last two have a regular wrestling match. I enjoy a battle royal ending with the last two having a regular wrestling match. That is a cool concept. But the rest of it is so stupid. But if I were to say this is TNA in one nutshell, to one person, I'm showing the Reverse Battle Royal.
You know, the Reverse Battle Royal of that concept was supposed to be what the Royal Rumble was originally supposed to be.
What, the fighting to get into the ring?
Yes. Imagine if that stuck.
Imagine if we're going like WrestleMania after they fought to get in the ring.
Every year. Imagine if that stuck.
Honorable mention, what do you think of the King of the Mountain? Before we do that, let me bring up many comments about AJ and Joe put TNA on the map. And then you have there hasn't been to me a better triple threat match than that. Nope. It's just that one just
haven't seen it.
I don't care what time is going on, that's perfect.
I mean, I can dig deep into the pools of wrestling matches that I've seen that were comparable. Like, you know, you had Taiji Ishimori versus Kushida versus what's his face? Hiromu Takahashi. They had a great triple threat match. Nothing compared to what AJ Daniels and Samoa Joe did. I could look at
perfect. I don't understand.
It was just so good, and that was like back then. And like, you know, I think of triple threat matches now. A more recent one, you're talking Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, The Miz. They had a great, like, it was great. Yeah,
underrated. It's not mentioned in some of the great WrestleMania matches.
It's still not Daniels, Joe, and Steiner. It's not. Like, you know, as great as that match was, and I'm putting it in the context because like of something more current. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like comparing any tables match or ladder match to the triple threat of tables, ladder, chair, Dudley, Hardy's, and Christian. It's really hard to like go like, I don't think you can beat that shit.
Which one? And even which one?
Yeah.
Are we talking WrestleMania 2000 or we're talking WrestleMania 17?
I got 17. 17 is just,
you know what I'm saying? We can even talk SummerSlam, just the ladder match. The ladder match at SummerSlam was crazy.
There's some matches when you go like, that's what I think of when I think of that match. When I think of TLC, I'm thinking of that match. And when I'm thinking of triple threat, immediately Daniels, Styles, and Joe. Like, it's just
any iteration of that match, like whether it's at Sacrifice,
they've redone it.
Turning Point, fucking, it doesn't matter what pay-per-view they did it on. The just
chemistry and the characters are too off the chart where you just go like, fuck, this is just impressive. All right, the next question. Greatest Impact Wrestling heavyweight champion of all time.
All time.
And they're I guess they're 1,000 episode run. I guess Ken Shamrock and Ron Killings are technically out of this line. But Jeff Jarrett would still be allowed.
You're going Jeff Jarrett, Sting, or AJ Styles. Any of the three. Any of the three.
Who you got? You got to pick one. I can't go with Styles because I never liked any of his heavyweight title runs.
Well, because they were short.
It seemed like they were short. They were short. And then a lot of times he was like goofy. There was a goofy run with it.
AJ's chases towards the title was better than his actual run with the title. Okay. Yeah. But it's not the fact that, like, you know, AJ was champion over there. It's like when he was champion, then people was tuning in. Okay, AJ Styles is the champion. Like whenever he comes out with the hood, the belt is on and he's fucking doing that. Like, you know, it's just, it was great. It was great to see. So if we're eliminating Styles from the equation, then it's definitely between Sting and Jeff Jarrett. But geez, man, it's kind of hard. Jeff Jarrett carried that company for fucking 3 or 4 years.
It's his world. It's his world.
As the champion. So it's kind of hard to argue. Sting, like the chase. Yes, it's Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett.
You going Jeff Jarrett? Your final answer?
It could be Kurt Angle. It's Jeff Jarrett. It's Jeff Jarrett.
Okay. I can easily go Jeff Jarrett or AJ and feel like this is the face of Impact. This is who all we thought about as Impact, which is true. But I'm going to go a different route with this. I am going with. I really enjoyed Christian's heel run in Impact and his face run.
Christian.
I'm choosing Christian. I'm choosing Christian. I know it's not the longest run.
You chose Christian Cage over Rhino. You chose Christian Cage over fucking Raven. You chose Christian Cage over AJ Styles. You chose Christian
as a champion, Cage. Yes.
You
over
chose
Matt Morgan or
Joe. Over Kurt Angle, not even Kurt Angle.
You know what? I should have mentioned Kurt Angle.
You fucking shitting me?
I'm choosing Christian over Kurt Angle.
Bobby Lashley,
Bobby Roode, Bobby Lashley,
Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, belt collector Austin Aries, Kenny Omega. Like, come on,
that ain't don't count. I'm not giving Kenny later run a count.
I said belt collector. That's why. That's why his run is memorable. Rich Swann, not too much. Moose
is really a
title run was great. Josh Alexander was just long. It was boring. It was just long.
Yeah. Josh Alexander is probably one of my least favorites over time. Moose is a really good candidate for being not only just finding the TNA championship out of a trash can run, but before that, even that, it was just like, damn, this is the champ.
The Sharpshooters. I have to respond to this.
Hold on. Let me put this up.
It's in the context. It's in the context of TNA World Champions, right? What that meant, and I'm thinking of Christian Cage's runs as the world champion with him and Tomko and him. AJ and, you know, the whole AJ cheated on his wife type stuff, like all that happened during that nigga's fun. Like, come on, son, let's stop the madness. No.
AJ cheating on Wendy.
Wendy.
That's the WWE storyline, but Wendy goes way back.
Shit. No, man, you can't do that. You know, there's just so much more. There's like, you know, Sami Callihan's run was interesting, and then he lost to fucking Tessa Blanchard. What? Are you shitting me? Why couldn't that have been Jordan Grace? Like, you know?
So here's my thing about
stuff with the company.
So here's my thing about the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship.
Fucking Alberto
Mick
Del
Foley had it. Yeah, Mick Foley. Like, I remember people winning this title, but the thing is, you don't remember their runs. Like, it's a lot of people that have won this title.
Ryan Page.
There are no long runs that you go, fuck, that was a move. I feel like Christian got it at the right sweet spot of the N.W.A title and then getting their own Impact Championship. Remember, because it was the N.W.A title when he won it. And then I think they turned it to the TNA title while he had it.
Bully Ray.
I'm choosing it.
Aces and eights.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Did we do faction already? I think we did tag team, but who's your favorite faction? I think you got Main Event Mafia, right?
Actually, no.
Oh.
No. It's a toss up between Team Canada, LAX, and Aces and Eights.
I'm going LAX. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
I'm leaning towards LAX, but Aces and Eights is hard to argue. I just didn't like how it ended.
Aces and Eights gets a strike because I hated Garrett Bischoff. and what's his name? Briscoe.
You know what I love about Aces and Eights is that Bully Ray had the story of the overarching story. Hey Hogan, you're in charge. I fuck your daughter. I won the world title, and now she's just a piece of trash. So I fuck your daughter, fuck your company. Fuck you, Hogan.
Yeah, the only way that could have been worse for Hogan is if Bully Ray was black. If it was Devon instead.
If it was Devon instead.
Oh no, brother. Oh no.
Long black dick.
Oh man.
Yeah. Had to get Monty Brown to pounce on that stupid ass.
By the way, I was gonna bring him up in unsung heroes of the like. These are the people who I think are, they came and went, and they were like really nice to see. Like Monty Brown's Abyss deserves probably more credit with him being Abyss, Joseph Park, and now working backstage at WWE and stuff. And then he was working behind the scenes as well. Deserves more credit. Hopefully he gets to show up at Impact 1000. Eric Young. And comedy Eric Young. I don't know if there was anybody ever. I know he was world champion. Don't fire Eric. That whole era. The world champion Eric Young, I don't really honestly give a fuck about. Like, I didn't care about his run as like being the guy and then being insane and crazy and trying to kill people, whether it's insanity or whatever else he was doing. Like, I prefer my Eric Young to be a silly person who is just, yes, he's yoked out of his mind, but entertaining that way. Who else? Got to throw in Shark Boy just because he was around for so long.
The Stone Cold Shark Boy, not the regular Shark Boy. It had to be the Stone Cold Shark Boy. Where he came with the best and started hitting stunners and everything. You saw this? You knew the stunner was coming, boy.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, these are people who you just bring up and you just be like, oh man, they're probably not mentioned as much as modern day. Austin Aries, who's fell off the face of the earth, is mentioned a lot. He's a lot of impact of like just one of the just best wrestlers to have ever wrestled just in general, but just always the biggest head. Him and Low Key are two of the people you'd be like, these guys should have more. But
him CM Punk in the room.
They would just be in there arguing about nothing. Just like, oh, you got a problem with me? I don't have a problem with you back then. And then you have and I'm just gonna give him a nod because of the great moments. You're Scott Steiner because you're 33 in the third, greatest promo of all time.
Greatest promo of all time.
Ric Flair and Jay Lethal's woo off, which is insane. Just
that was at Impact too. That was
yeah,
8
that
Impact
was
episodes.
on Impact.
I still watch it to this day. I showed you a high pitched version, a high pitched voice version of that promo.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's just it's one of the most ridiculous things ever.
Woo! You can't
shout out to Don West.
Do me, and I'm cutting you off right now.
Longest ride, longest ride. But whatever.
I'm cutting you off. You don't cut me off.
Just nonsense.
That shit is too funny. Bro.
It's still great. It's still like you go back and go like, what the fuck? How this is? Who even comes up with this? Like, how did they even get TV time for this? It just kept going on and on. What else?
Damn.
There were just a lot of stuff that you just go like, fuck, I can't believe they survived all this. Whether it's Final Deletion, which kind of brought me back into Impact. I had stopped for a minute, and then you go like, what the hell is this? And then it was just like, this is brilliant. Man, it's great. But it eventually outran this course later on in life. But it's like, this is the birth of the cinematic match here of like shooting fireworks at each other and stuff like that. It was a time. It was a time. So, with that being said, Jamal, the big question is for Impact as we reach our 51st minute. Their episode 1000 is coming up this Thursday. They're bringing back some of the old, stars and the Dudleys, Gail Kim, Feast of Fire's back. I think they're having what else?
That's going to be interesting to see how Devon.
Yeah,
I want to see how that. But
yeah, he froze. Damn it, he froze when he said Devon. And I was like, I want to see how Devon.
No, I said it was pretty interesting. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how they incorporate Devon and Bubba. Are they going to do like? We're gonna do Dudley's, but Bully Ray is Bully Ray. I'm waiting for an attack. I want to see an attack. I want to see him beat the shit out of Devon. I want to see Bubba put Devon through the table.
I never wanted you here in the first place.
I want to see him. I want to see him do exactly this. Devon get the tables. Devon gets the table, and then Bully Ray puts him through said table. That would be so apropos. Or it can go completely the different way, and Bubba tries to put Devon through the table, but it is now Devon who puts Bubba through the table. So either way, it just works out.
Someone's going through the table. I don't even know where Devon's at with his physical health. I don't know if he's allowed to, go through tables or anything, but I'm curious to see where all that goes. I'm curious. It's a lot to see on the show, and I think most people should check it out. And it'd be nice to just go down memory lane of just seeing all the people who have ran through Impact over the years, ran out of there, branched out, and people who are still there, who are just like, I'm still here. I don't see Impact. Like, I know I would say I didn't see them making 1,000 episodes of Impact Wrestling because as much of the positive we said, you got to understand, there's a lot of bullshit that happen on these shows throughout the time. Yes, we praise our favorite moments of Triple Threat, X Division, all these wrestlers and all that. But there's so much bullshit that happened, whether it's involving like Claire Lynch or shit like that, or just nonsense. Just over the years, just nonsense after nonsense.
So now I have a question for you. What was the worst moment in Impact Wrestling history? What was the absolute
It's Claire Lynch.
What was the worst?
Claire Lynch. It's AJ Styles, Claire Lynch, the whole Dixie Carter crackhead storyline. Just all of that was the absolute.
Jones? Not Pac-Man Jones coming
out.
Hey,
Pac-Man Jones. He had a thing so he back. He back. He was Pac-Man Jones.
What about the Voodoo Kin Mafia promo? What about that?
As horrible as that was, it did involve your top wrestler, to me, your top wrestler, the guy, AJ Styles, in this storyline, which eventually I believe ran him out and pushed him to Japan. Like this was the end of AJ's run, and you just go like, what the fuck are they doing with AJ Styles? Like that was to me. You don't get lower than that, and it was under like I think Hogan's foresight too. And then like he didn't really want anything to do with AJ, and I was just like, this This whole like this is what made me kind of quit. This is what quit Impact right now. That not only did I quit the show, but it was like I quit Impact mostly because it was like this is dumb.
And I'm cutting you off right now. You're cutting me off. Yeah, you don't cut me off. Woo! Hey, don't you start that with me. Woo! Woo!
All right. Well, what was your first moment? For those who don't know, that was not after the Sesame Street. That was Jay Lethal and Ric Flair in very helium fueled kid voices. I don't know what it is.
Cutting you off right now. You can't be me. You can't do me.
You can't do me. I do you. What would be your
the
thing
worst?
That was like this, the Impact Killer.
The acquisition, the acquisition of Anthem, the trying to change Anthem to Global Force, back to Anthem, back to fucking whatever it is that they made. Like it was confusing to keep up with. I like the direction that they were going wrestling wise, but during that time, the fucking the branding, it was just like, yo, what the fuck are you? Are you this fucking owl shit? Are you Global Force? Or are you just something, a merger in between the two? Make up your fucking mind. Like, you know, Slammiversary 2016 was when I was just like really, really, really confused. You know, Bobby Lashley versus Alberto Del Patron was the main event. Patron went over and he became like the world title guy. And I was just like, okay, cool. But then stupid shit happened. Obviously with Paige and all that nonsense. Soraya, for those that don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, like that stupid shit happened, and then he let go the title, and now we have a new I was like, God damn it, bro. I can't do this convoluted shit. You're doing too much.
That was the peak. This is too much.
You know, you're doing too much.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. The Anthem transition. Dixie Carter as a heel never clicked with me. But EC3, as we forgot to bring up earlier, dope character. Just first you come in and you go like, what is this? And then it's just trouble. It's like, oh, it's actually going somewhere.
With Tyrus in the background. Shout out to EC3 and Tyrus for putting on it was good. It was a good little match that they had. EC3, your new N.W.A. World Heavyweight Championship, keeping the tradition alive of his Impact Wrestling days by holding the 10 pounds of gold, keeping it alive. Look at him doing the damn thing.
But that about concludes the show of us going down memory lane. But did you watch the last episode of N.W.A, the new era, quote unquote, of the N.W.A, as they call it?
I did not, but I have to catch up. That's my Saturday.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. EC3 kind of promo toward the end of the show, called himself the Overman and all that. He compared himself to other champions in the past. The Overman. The Overman. And he came out as like dressed as Caesar. They rechanged the set a little bit. The commentators are Joe Galley and what's his name with the deals? Danny Dills or whatever. So it's changed a little bit. Yep. It's changed a little bit, but nothing happened. I went, oh, it's the new era. They hit me with something. So maybe next week they have more, but I doubt it.
I missed the Into the Fire era of N.W.A.
I miss it. Yeah.
Into the Fire.
That was
on it every week. I was
waiting for it every week.
Into the Fire.
Again. Yeah. Eddie Kingston, Ricky Starks, and Eli Drake / LA Knight all were on the same show, all cutting promos back to back to back, and they were all fucking phenomenal. And just going like, what about watching? This is a different.
And they had low key bangers of matches.
Yeah,
new niggas and old niggas. I love that. They need to do more of that. Like you see the matches that I send you on Instagram, like they're NWA matches, but like this should be on TV, not on fucking YouTube, fucking as a clip.
Yeah, it. I don't know. Like the start of this, the Into the Fire era was just amazing. It was just like I was compelled every week to see Tim Storm versus what you call him, Manny's boy Nick Aldis.
All right,
and just the drama behind it.
For the final thing for this episode, your favorite Impact Wrestling theme song.
Oh boy. this, I can always easily go AJ with you are, I am, because that just burned in my head. I heard it so much. I enjoyed the Monsters Abyss. Just like that. It's like the side of nowhere.
What about your boys' beer money, man? That should beer money.
Yeah, but once I start listening to it, I go like, it's kind of a stupid song.
From the
country. Kurt Angle's, like, his song was a banger. I just feel like it starts off with whatever it says, and I was like, that's a pretty good song.
Never let up. No, she's the bullshit. Yo, that shit went hard. No fun. That was good. Trouble. Trouble.
Also, shout out to the black wrestlers of Impact that opened the time. Whether it's Bobby Lashley, the entire Beatdown Clan, which I love the Beatdown Clan, whether it was Loki or whatever. And then my favorite, Monty Brown. Pounds. Period. I swear to God, he better be on Impact 1000. I don't care what he said.
Look, man, you leave Marcus Corvon alone, all right? down, coming smooth.
He needs to be gonna remind everybody. I put him in the Serengeti.
Welcome to the Serengeti.
And don't forget Devon Sons, Terrence and Terrell, who are just lurking around.
Who, TNT?
They never actually accomplished anything.
Not yet, anyway. They need to go to Impact and do some things.
This is Levi. I used to attend TNA shows in Nashville. There used to be a restaurant there called the White Trash Cafe. Needs to say, I drove by and left.
Yo, shit.
But yeah, a great history of Impact. Again, a show that I thought died 500 episodes ago. But it felt like it died at one point.
As I told you at the beginning of this, I did not expect to see 3 zeros behind that one.
Yeah.
So let's see if they'll make it.
And here's my favorite thing about my favorite stat about the TNA/Impact era is that, back in the day, people used to be like, oh man, this show's, you gotta love it. It's trash or whatever. I'm one of them. And, the numbers for that show back in the day, when you look at the ratings, what they used to pull in, are double of what WWE and what AEW are doing right now. They're putting in like 2-3 million people watching every single week of Impact and the Ultimate Fighter, and you just go like, times have changed dramatically. That SmackDown's trying to, consistently do 3. AEW trying to do a mill. Raw's barely doing like half that. It's like just a different time when you go like, wow, Impact tried. It's the only wrestling promotion that will always go, I will survive. Hey. Yes, it is. It should be dead. You got, and then every now and then, as it's dying, they find like one thing to pull people back in. And it's just like, what? How are we back? And he's like, oh, okay, Kenny Omega shows up.
Kenny Omega shows up at the end.
Right?
Oh my God. I'm not jacking Kenny Omega coming back to Impact. If anybody should come back, it should be your guy, Christian Cage, who you chose over Rhino, Abyss.
When I thought you said my guy coming back,
Jeff Jarrett, Sting.
As much as I need to end this show, I gotta end this show. I gotta pick up my glasses. Right. One thing I gotta end this. Before we end it, I want to add, Impact won't die, but you can't have a wrestling discussion without talking about this man in the past 2 weeks. Should Impact Wrestling this weekend bring in the most toxic man on the planet, Phil Brooks?
He needs to go pack it the fuck up and live in retirement. You gotta pack him up. Pack him the fuck up. I don't even have a bag with me. I was not prepared to pack nobody up today because we were talking about
this wasn't a packing show. This wasn't a traveling show.
Next time I'm gonna have a bag ready. It's gonna be called the Pack It Up pack it the fuck up bag, and I'm gonna pack up the bag, and I'm gonna pack it the fuck up out of here. Because that's what CM Punk needs to do. He's done. He's finished. He's washed. He's gassed.
You know he's coming back. You know he's coming back. He's coming back somewhere.
No.
He is going to come back on either.
No, absolutely not.
WWE, Impact, N.W.A, or even AEW, even with all their drama.
No, absolutely not. Pack it up. Pack it up.
Anyway, with that discussion out the way, I'm glad it's over, but it has to be brought up because you can't talk about wrestling without CM Punk now, apparently. No matter what's going on. How does this affect CM Punk? I don't care. This is a Crooked Wireless commercial. Why?
Triple H was right. I was wrong.
Right. He was
right. I was wrong.
As someone brought up, though, it's, you know, as disgruntled he was at WWE, he never tried to throw punches at people.
Yep.
He probably would have got his ass.
Yep. Yep. Ain't the Young Bucks, nigga.
Yeah, they ain't that small over there. You throwing punches over there, you may run into a Brock. He's like, oh shit.
He probably did run into Brock, you know? You talking about I wrestled Brock and I had a discussion. Of course you did. Of course you fucking did. Yeah, you're not gonna fight Brock Lesnar, nigga.
CM Punk confirmed for WoW. Although AJ's out. AJ Lee is out of WoW. She doesn't work there no more.
She's not doing women's of wrestling now?
No, she left. Her contract expired.
Ew.
We gotta go back.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been a lot. It would have been a lot. Like if he
Booker
like,
T
that
did
locker room was pretty. Shit, you had Hunico in that locker room. You talk too much shit.
Hunico.
There were some real people. There were people down for it. Anyway, you can find Jamal.
Was back there, nigga.
yeah, you had Camacho. But you can find Jamal on the Mid-Card Match Podcast on SoundCloud. There's the link down there. SoundCloud got 3 Face Odds, number 3, Jamal. You can find me here tomorrow, then, now, forever. Apparently, that's my schedule. We'll do it together. But you'll find me here tomorrow. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite and NXT. And probably, you know, if Phil drops that mixtape, we've got to talk about that too.
You know he's going to drop that
heat.
heat. You know he's going to drop the heat. If he starts talking about that, he can't use Colt Cabana anymore either because he broke that fucking friendship too.
Yeah, it's over. He can't use that podcast.
He
might have to come to us. He hasn't burned the bridge on the Sharpshooter channel yet. He may have to come to us. But I'm gonna do it via satellite because I don't want Phil trying to put me in a guillotine or lunging at Manny.
Well, you know what I said. I could fuck
with John Wick in that backstage before his match. Just beat everybody's ass.
You heard it here first. I could beat CM Punk's stupid ass the fuck up. So
yeah,
I have no gripes about it.
I feel a lot of us on this channel would have that. That's why he wouldn't come here. I don't think.
Smoke that nigga, son. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Peace out. Bye. Have a good night. So long.
Watch
Farewell.
Impact Wrestling's 1000th episode on Thursday, and also
is it Thursday? Or is it this weekend? I think it's gonna be live this weekend, honestly.
Live.
I think I remember seeing the 9th. Or Saturday. I think Thursday's a regular episode, and then they're gonna, I guess, do some, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Just look it up. Google it. For God's sakes, people.
It's
Google
infinity plus a C, a backward C.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys later.